Namaste. Welcome to day 28 of our 45-day series for both men and women to last longer. My goal in doing this was to answer so many of our questions on our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, but also to build that confidence for you so you could have that enjoyment in the bedroom. But before we get started, just a few friendly reminders. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button as it helps us push it out to more individuals so that we may help them. Also, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so when day 29 gets released, you'll be right there with us. And with that, let's get started here today. Welcome. I want you to get into a comfortable spot. You can do this sequence either inside or outside. Get some vitamin D if you can. This is a completely yoga sequence. It is light yoga, but we are doing a completely yoga sequence with 4 asanas. And we're also going to couple it with some acupressure here today. Now, if you're not a fan of yoga or it's too much for you, not a problem. There's plenty of different sequences, and I've purposely altered it that way so that you can find one that you like. And if you actually find one sequence that you like, feel free to do it 3 times a day for 45 days and see how you do. But with that, the first one is the Yogi Squat. So we're going to go ahead and do that and do our best to hold it for anywhere from 10 seconds to 2 minutes. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and stand. And we're going to put our feet about shoulder length apart and then pray our hands. And then we're going to go ahead and squat for a little bit. Now do your best to follow along. I personally love this asana. I actually start my day off with this asana, and then I also do a little bit of meditation. And the reason why this is so important to maybe perhaps start your day off like this is because it gives you the ability to relax the body. So many of us, we go, and we use the resources. There's only so much hormone that the body makes in a certain day or perhaps even in a certain lifetime. And so what you want to do is be very cognizant of those resources. Now, if we're stressed out or we didn't sleep enough, then we have higher cortisol levels, and then that cortisol levels take away from available hormone such as testosterone or estrogen and so forth, or even thyroid, which can help us to last a little bit longer. So I want you to do your very best to do these sequences. You can pick any of them and do them 3 times a day. And part of that intelligence there is that you get into a nice rhythm, a certain cadence where you're doing your best to relax the body so that the body has more available hormones to help you to last longer, and also the body is working more optimally. That's my goal in doing that. My other goal in developing these sequences is also that it brings blood flow to the pelvic floor. Now, the acupressure absolutely brings blood flow to the pelvic floor. Now, you feel it a little bit more with the asanas, but the acupressure most definitely does because of the mirror imaging of the points according to Chinese medicine, as I know since I've been doing acupuncture for the past 20 years and so forth. So any of these sequences, they are there to bring blood flow to the pelvic floor. And when you bring blood flow to the pelvic floor, you tone the pelvic floor. And when you tone the pelvic floor, then you're going to have greater control. And when you have greater control, then you're going to be able to have greater duration, which is what we all want in doing this sequence. So be sure to pick any sequence and do them 3 times a day for 45 days. Fantastic. So the next asana is very simple. It'll help you relax from the first one. And what I want you to do is put your feet firmly on the ground. And then I want you to do your best for both feet to touch, the soles of the feet to touch. And I want you to just hold this asana for the next 30 seconds or a couple minutes. It's very relaxing after doing the Yogi Squat. And you can, if you want, you can also do this butterfly motion where you're lifting the knees off the ground and so forth, or you can simply just relax with the knees the way that they are in a stationary position. Now, while we do this, One thing that I want to talk to all of you about too is a previous asana that we have done, and that is to contract the pelvic floor. And then I want you to lift the pelvic floor, and then I want you to rest the pelvic floor, and to do that in 3-second intervals. And that compiled with this is 2 asanas. We're doubling the effect. So follow along with me for just a minute. I want you to lift the pelvic floor for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And I want you to contract the pelvic floor and lift the pelvic floor for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And I want you to rest for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. So I want you to be doing that while you're doing this asana. And if you want a triple effect, what you can do, as long as you're not pregnant, because it can be too stimulating for ladies who are, is I want you to go ahead and take the palms of your hands, and I want you to rub the medial aspect of your feet. And this actually can also stimulate and bring blood flow to the pelvic floor. So if you're doing this asana and you're contracting for 3 seconds, lifting the pelvic floor for 3 seconds, and then resting for 3 seconds, as well as doing this acupressure point, well, you've got 3 things working in your favor to help you to bring greater blood flow to the pelvic floor, which will tone the pelvic floor, which will give you greater control and satisfaction in the bedroom. And that's what we want here. The next asana is also a nice way to rest and also to meditate. And what we're going to do, I'm going to do this in the lateral view, but you feel free to do this in the perpendicular view, is what we're simply going to do is about feet shoulder length apart. And then I want you to simply lay back, and I want you to put your hands on your tummy. And while you're doing this, you can do one of 2 things that can help you to tone the pelvic floor even more. What you can do is you can, again, contract the pelvic floor for 3 seconds, lift the pelvic floor for 3 seconds, and then rest the pelvic floor for 3 seconds. And if you're like, you know what, I need a little break, that's okay. The other alternative that you can do is you can bring blood flow from the top, the very vertex of your head, all the way down to the pelvic floor. And actually this meditative state, I can really feel the blood flow in my pelvic floor. So what we're going to do again is from the very top of the head, through the neck, through the spine, through the tailbone, we're going to bring blood flow to the pelvic floor, and we're going to let the blood flow pool in the pelvic floor for about 3 seconds. And then we're going to rest for a little bit and keep doing that. That, along with this asana, is again a doubling effect that will help bring greater blood flow to the pelvic floor, which will then allow you to tone the pelvic floor so you'll have more control over the pelvic floor, which will give you greater results and so forth in the bedroom. And that's what, we all are interested in too. One other thing that I want to mention while we are resting here today is that I worry, and I see this a lot in my practice, is that we don't get enough rest and sleep anymore. And so many of the Instagram lives, I see that folks are only sleeping about 5-6 hours. And I'm going to encourage all of you to do your best to sleep for about 7 to 8 hours. The research is very compelling to help you not only with anxiety, but weight loss and so forth. And if you're stressed out, you're not going to have the desire to rendezvous with your partner, and you're going to also have less available hormone. So do me a favor and do your best to sleep for 7 to 8 hours. You'll make that time up in productivity throughout the day. The very last asana is also a really beautiful resting position. What I want you to do is to go ahead and flex the knees and then crisscross the legs and put the feet underneath the knees. And then I simply want you to lay your hands back And then I want you to rest in this position for the next couple of minutes. And this is a great way to end the sequence. And I want you to do this for a little bit. And as you're doing this, feel free to do either one of the coupling effect. You can contract the pelvic floor for 3 seconds, lift the pelvic floor for 3 seconds, and then you can rest the pelvic floor for 3 seconds. Or you can simply imagine blood flow from the top vertex of your head through the neck, through the spine, through the tailbone, and let it pool in the pelvic floor. And just when I did that, I can feel it pool in the pelvic floor. And again, this will act as a doubling or a tripling effect to help you to have greater tone and control over the pelvic floor. Now, as you're doing that, just a few little housekeeping reminders is that if you go to the description in the YouTube channel, you will see a link or an email address. Be sure to send us your email. There's some free course materials, so you can have some things that you can take notes on that can help you well beyond the time of this course. And then on top of that too, please get checked out by your doctor. It's really important to me that the folks that I help, my followers, get checked out by their physician, because that person can be with you, can do an intake, can examine you, and can help you. And feel free to talk to him or her about any of the things I've discussed. It's my pleasure. And please do that for me so that I have peace of mind that you are getting checked out by your doctor, and layer in the recommendation. But by no means take this in lieu of what your doctor says. Go see your doctor, and that's really important. Now, by now, you've been with me more than halfway. So what I encourage you is you should be seeing some results. If you're not seeing some results, don't get discouraged. Stay with it. Most people will see results within a couple of weeks to a couple of months, but if it takes you longer, not a problem. And you can go ahead and keep doing these sequences till you see the results. If you need a break for a week or two, not a problem, but get back on it, because consistency leads to consistent results. So with that, what I ask you to do is, before we meet up tomorrow, I want you to pick 2 more sequences and do them. And then I will be here with you tomorrow to help you along your way. Get some good rest, do the sequences, and see you tomorrow.